it seems at the moment not many teams have been able to stop England's transition consistently. And we'll see if the girls can pick up where everyone else has left off. Just two teams feeling each other out. First couple moments of the game, South Africa trying to get their transition. They run a lot of switches, do South Africa, trying to manipulate the ball in open play. But that's fifth, static. At halfway, going to have to create something, try and draw a penalty, but that will be given touch and pass. No, called away. And that 6-touch turnover. And the girls will essentially have a tap off to, well, potentially get some fresh legs on. But it looks like they want to go down the other end. They just send one now. They eat up the yards down this box side. Diving for the line. Referee seems happy. And they give the opening score. And that is the benefit you get from having a direct transition, moving fast. I mean, they just eat up the yards down the wing, and then one touch, almost an improvised 21 play down the wing. And that's number 6, Cara Edwards, going underneath. And that's something we've seen from every England side so far, is that pace in transition. You know, how often does that get worked on in training? Is that something that's, you know, pretty much nearly every session, or do you take the experience you have from your club side and sort of rely on that more, especially in the transition?
I think it's relentlessly drilled into us in training, to be honest. I think it's something, as an England setup, we really pride ourselves on, in being able to drive down the pitch well. And as a team, you need to be able to do it together.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, anyone who's been watching live streaming will see the NTS. You know, every team at that top level of NTS has that dynamic transition, trying to get down the bottom end of the pitch and as an efficient way possible. And it's certainly carried over into the international setups, even the juniors. I mean, the ones of note are the boys 18s last night. I mean, the transition absolutely devastating to play against. And in that first half, when they got their 16 tries, pretty much all of their tries in the first half came off the back of that transition, working the ball wide, using the width. And it can't be understated how important that powerful transition is. South Africa looking to reply. Open side quickie. Bit of an improvised play, trying to dive underneath the touch. The England defence too good. England now trying to drag over to the box side. Good yards made off first touch. And good speed again, brilliant second touch, and they're at the halfway line, and now the fresh legs come flying on. Just have to take the ball back ever so slightly. England continuing to progress. Lovely little dummy just to create some separation. Jessica right now in at Link. Got a feeling I know what's coming. Link punish. They go open side. Ball goes, unfortunately, just to ground. And that'll be South Africa ball. And for the time being, South Africa doing well in defence. Not doing anything too spectacular, but the defensive spacing seems good enough for the time being.
Yeah, I would agree. I think England are probably looking to condition a bit to start this game. Get them beaten short side first before they're looking open side.
Yeah, as a player, when you use the terms of like conditioning, what are the key things you're looking for when you are trying to condition a defence?
You're looking to have them scared of you, basically. We're looking to beat them short side, have them scared, so then you open up the space open side.
Yeah, really well put, really well put. I think a lot of the really successful teams as well are able to stay calm in their setup and commit to the conditioning almost. Say, okay, look, you might defend this option 3 or 4 times in the first half, but then when we change the impetus and we flash it back the other way, you're not going to be able to defend that in the second half. And not something you can implement in 20-minute games. However, 40-minute games are a whole different kettle of fish. Oh, England scoop close to the line, almost get the reward, but the covering touch just comes in time. And South Africa at the moment just defending at 1s and 2s, not really moving as a unit, and the space is there. England potentially just needs to be more clinical. Almost half court there for South Africa. That would have been a nightmare turnover. But this is much better, moving at pace. But now it just slows down. And it's this scenario in which South Africa just need to go forward a little bit more, because you're inviting the pressure onto you. And if you're England, that's the picture you want to see. You want to be able to just fly out of the line at a static defender, well, a static attacker, and just go and make that defensive shot. Moving the ball, open side quickly. They look to the short side. 2-on-1 on the wing, and they execute it superbly. Question of a forward pass. Oh, unfortunately, the referees agree, so the score will be chalked off. Forward pass given. South Africa get away with another one. South Africa driving up the touch box now. Just waiting to get fresh legs on. Could speed up that transition to create some more opportunities. It's just a bit too much stop and start. And you know, I suppose you've been in this situation yourself. Is this a lapse of communication for South Africa, or are they just succumbing to defensive pressure from England?
I think this is a lack of their basic principles probably in South Africa. They're not winning the roll ball, they're not moving forwards. They can probably run through England a bit if they just committed to it. Yeah. There's no team, because you have to advance backwards and touch. Like you can run through a team if you commit to 1 or 2 touches in a row, but they're just not, they don't have that confidence that they are going to make the yards if they just commit, and they're losing it. You see it when they get to halfway. They quite often get there on touch 3, and then they just don't keep moving forwards afterwards. They get touch 3, 4, 5, 6 all on the halfway. Yeah,
I completely agree. And sometimes you just need that one person that's going to just get the ball and say, look, I just want to go forward. Let's just start making some yards. And at the moment, South Africa doing good work in the first phase of their transition, and then undoing all of that by slowing things down and, you know, potentially waiting for the right players to be in the right positions. But if they're not there, you've got to be able to react on the fly. Good touch made on the line there. England looking at using the hammers to get in behind the South African defence. Just not quite happening for them. Yeah, hammer play. Oh, ball just goes to the ground. Can't quite stick in the hand. And South Africa again, just, you know, they are defending relatively well. They're keeping England out, albeit, you know, through some errors on England's half. But this is a much better transition now. Really going forward. They just need to keep that momentum going forward. Lovely spin pass. No touch. Brilliant yards made. Needs to get the ball down. Does. Unfortunately, the hips just aren't square. And the one time they're able to get into that red zone, just surrender possession to England a bit too easily. Lets England off the hook, actually, because I thought that they were, you know, they were up against it a little bit in that transition. But this is, you know, second touch coming, and look at where England are.
They've really been dominating this field position, haven't they? Oh,
100%, 100%. It's been really impressive, the transition especially. And now this is you've got two cracks at the line here in your line attack. Jessica Wright on the ball, taking the ball down, 32 shot. Goes to the line. Maybe could have pulled out of there and recycled the touch, but it's 5th. Got to create something from nothing. No touches available. They look wide. They go for the wing. Think that will be given touch and pass and turnover. And for you, if you're looking at this, you know, we're coming up to 10 minutes in. Anything you're seeing from England's perspective that they could do more effectively in attack?
I think they've just got to keep trusting their short side options initially. I think they're looking open side a bit too soon. They've got in the field position. I know Andy will be drilling it into them on the sideline, but they just need to keep trusting that they can do it. South Africa haven't given them anything the other way. Yeah, completely agree. And you've got to take that confidence as well. And I mean, for me, I would potentially look at running a couple link punish, just conditioning the width of the defence. And then when you do look for your short side option, there potentially could be more gaps available. At the moment, England persisting with some, you know, typical structures, your 32s and your quickies. But at the moment, South Africa are able to rely on their pace in defence rather than any sort of defensive structure. So just maybe got to create that extra bit of separation, so then they can't rely on their pace as much. Yeah, I'd have to agree. And they got that link punish on the left-hand side about 5 minutes ago where they got the forward pass.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be honest, I know there's a fair few players in this England side that are very adept at running those link punishes, and especially the short side plays. I'm always of the mind, if you've got a 40-minute game, you want to condition that short side early doors so that link is, well, as you said earlier, scared of that option, and then you sort of create that second guessing, the lack of confidence, and then the holes start to appear because people are over chasing. At the moment, England maybe not asking as many questions of the South African defence as they could be. And South Africa are able just to absorb that pressure more times than not.
It's one of those games for England where you're looking at it and they've done very well, but the scoreline's not reflective of that.
Yeah.
And one mistake here and South Africa could easily be back in this game.
Well, that's the worry in games like this, isn't it? Yes, you are on top. You've had all of the field position. You've had the vast majority of the ball possession. But one mistake, one line break, one intercept, and all your hard work's undone because their score's essentially back to 0-0. So England have really got to capitalise on the pressure, because at the moment it's just too easy for South Africa, and that'll be given as a forward pass, unfortunately. We've seen some that have drifted forward, but they come out, as long as it comes out the hands flat, you can get away with the pass slightly drifting forward.
Yeah, you can sometimes. I think it's really important for England here to stay positive. I think South Africa will be taking great pride in the fact that they have limited England here. And if England need to stay positive in their box, keep believing that they are winning this game, and not allow South Africa to almost get a glimpse and get a foot in.
Yeah, 100%. It's easy to get, maybe a little bit bogged down at the scoreline, especially when you have been so dominant. You've been able to shut South Africa down so consistently. And then to only put the one try on the board, it can feel like you've left some opportunities out there. But at the same time, bingo value for it. You're completing your sets, not committing too many errors. Your transition looks very good. You're getting fresh legs on quickly, but it's just those little micro errors that alleviate the pressure and give South Africa a good opportunity to launch. Good hands from South Africa just to work around the shooters, but England's getting up in the face and really shutting them down at every opportunity. It's almost like whenever England turn the ball over, there's extra impetus to go and get that ball back, almost frustrated at the mistake.
Yeah, I talked about South Africa having to play through England, but England's press has been superb. This is most sets for South Africa, they're barely getting over halfway.
Yeah.
And that makes it so easy as a team. You don't have all those sets on the line. You don't have the worry that they almost scored here or they're going to score there. And we talked about all that conditioning. I mean, South Africa won't have done anything. There's no one on this England team scared.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, England at the moment, the relentless press is causing so much havoc for South Africa, but they just can't capitalise when they've got ball in hand, although there's an opportunity there, and Cara Edwards is a grateful recipient for it. For me, that is ball down. Referees are going to have a brief chat.
There we go, they're going for it.
Yeah, happy days, brilliant score, Cara Edwards.
That's a second for her, isn't it?
Yeah, just gets underneath. We saw the improvised 21 down the short side. There's nothing improvised about this, 32 short. Just lovely right foot step, recognises that the separation between the South African middles is just too much. Exposes the space, gets underneath, doubles the lead. And now England can start to feel a little bit more satisfied with their work. Had all of the success, and now scores starting to tick over.
Yeah, you will be much happier with 2-0 England going in at half-time, maybe 3 if they can, but having it 1-0 after all that dominance would have been almost a punch in the teeth.
Yeah, definitely. And then South Africa do get the offside penalty, so a good opportunity now for South Africa to bring the deficit down to 1. And we saw them on live stream yesterday. They are more than capable of doing it. They just need to have that structure in attack. Something that I was critical of them on live stream was that they're sometimes just running things 2 heads up. But they rely on the quickie structure, and the pace is good. That will probably be an offside call. Don't think she hit the line. Referee's in agreement. So there's one on the line. South Africa back to the quickies. Checking the ball back inside. Fizzed. No sympathetic pass there. She looks to dive for the line, but it's a really good covering touch. Eloise Hillebrand getting across, making the touch for England. South Africa just taking a moment, discussing the plan. Looks like they're telling the link to stay out. Wouldn't be surprised if I saw a fire up. Link arrives. pops to the wrong side, and unfortunately the lapse of communication results in an England turnover. And for the first real time that South Africa have tested the line, England have passed that test with flying colours.
Yeah, brilliant defence. They came step really tight. They moved on from the penalties. I know they got caught offside a couple times, but they moved on. They really defended well. And South Africa were disappointed not to capitalise when they're getting so few chances in this game.
Yeah, it really feels like you've got to take those ones. Jessica Wright on the ball, looks to use the width, doesn't quite get there. Probably could have gone down the hands. But England now starting to try and use the width more often. As the rain starts to pour back again. You get little moments of reprieve and you think, oh, the ball might actually dry up. We might be able to play expansive rugby. And then in the English summer says, no, thank you, pal. No exciting rugby for you.
I know, I'm looking at this pitch I'm playing on here later, watching it get battered. The rain's not going to help about that.
No, definitely not. But I've been saying all morning, it's prime diving weather. Primo diving weather. It's one of them where if you've got the wingspan of an albatross, you're diving from 15 metres out trying to get to the line. Oh, South Africa worked the overlap really well, but the pass doesn't go. And she throws the ball in frustration, and Jessica Wright quick to highlight it. They advance the extra 10. They roll into their transition. Good dump. Nice dummy, really good touch. Trying to scoop through, looking left. Oh, just trying to arrive late in the mid-link hole. Doesn't quite happen, but they'll try and use the width. The overlap is on. Ball goes, try is scored. And England beginning to use the width in the previous play. The hands do connect on this occasion.
That's where we're talking about condition as well. Cara Edwards on the ball again, bringing all the defenders in. And they've got the space outside. South Africa probably annoyed that they didn't get back on side to be there. But beautiful, beautiful heads-up rugby from England there. Yeah,
just good catch and pass. And this is what we had to say about the boys' 18s. And I didn't want to have to make the comparison. I'm glad I didn't have to. Angus did. But we were saying that, you know, that New Zealand side in 2014 to 2015 that just did the basics better than everyone else. And sometimes that's all you need to elevate yourself above your opposition, is those core skills of clean dump, picking the ball off the floor, very fast, very nippy, and then that catch and pass is good enough to expose space.
As long as you've got a game plan and you are running your fundamentals, that is exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Like as long as you can beat a player short side, everything else is just fundamental skills. Can you do the basics? And you're going to lose games as well. If you're dropping the ball on touch 2 and 3, that will lose you games.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And all credit to them. England's completion rate has been by and large very good. As they roll back through the transition, that's off the mark though. Just taking a couple extra steps after the touch was initiated.
Bit of commentator's curse there, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely talking about a completion rate. And then the ball gets turned over, it's always the way. I've sort of resigned myself to not complimenting many people. South Africa now. Look to Aussie out. Good setup. Unfortunately, the hips aren't square, and the moments that they can capitalise on just falling away from them at the last minute. And England surrendered the possession and get away with one.
England is still relentless on the line. They're not giving South Africa a minute to think. You can tell the girls on there for South Africa just don't have the time they want.
Yeah, and we've spoken a lot about the tactical conditioning, but the physical conditioning of the players is absolutely excellent. It's the half-time hooter goes that brings us to 3-0, and England will be happy with their work. We are going to take a very short break, and then we'll be right back with you with the second half. And we are back with the second half. Hooter about to get us underway. England are going to look for more of the same, and South Africa, you just feel like when they get in the right areas, maybe needs to be a little bit more clinical, some more structure and communication. England are flying out the blocks early doors. Superb dump. Cara Edwards looks for the wrap. Oh, ball sticks and the ball is down, and that is the start of dreams. Oh, ref's going to have a quick chat. Oh, touch. Superb touch. Thought for all my money that was down. Sweeper coming. Cara Edwards again. Looks for the step back. Drawing the penalty. South Africa not hitting the line.
This is what you get when you got the conditioning. They're so scared of Cara now. Yeah. She scored 2 in the first half. We're going to see if England can use that now.
Yeah, South Africa just not advancing at the pace at which some of the England girls would like. Just highlighting that, and the referee agrees. That second penalty on the line now. One more penalty. Someone goes to the bin. Got a feeling we're going to be seeing this sweeper play. Comes round. And they look to go around the outside. Oh, lovely little manipulation. Shimmy of the hips twice, fixes the defender, is able to get the ball down on the outside. And as we said before on the try, they got choked off. We can say it now with conviction, it is the dream start for England.
Yeah, South Africa just not getting up into England at all. They're giving them all the time they want to set up exactly the plays they need. It's one of the things you can see is so different between the two teams. We'll see it now as South Africa try and attack, that England are just relentless in getting into their face.
Whoa, good hands to avoid the drop ball there. I thought that was a bit of a heart-in-mouth moment, but yeah, I completely agree. South Africa just not putting England under enough pressure, whereas you can see England there absolutely flying out of the line to put pressure on the South African ball carrier. Although South Africa recycle it well. Hammer play, and here comes the pace. We've seen this on live stream before. Ball out to the wing, but an amazing covering touch on the far wing.
That's an awesome touch. Diving
touch, and it's those ones that are just as valuable as a try. Saving what would be a surefire score, and they might get 6 more. Jessica Wright just hanging her hand out in the passing lane. She's unhappy with the decision, but I think it's a fair call. You won't get any bias from me, Jess. And South Africa just sacrificing some field position to get fresh legs on the field. Transition is fragmented, and England, look at the pressure, just getting up, and they've forced the turnover. And they may have given away the 6 more, but it doesn't matter because they sprint up the field to put pressure on. Jessica right now hitting this at pace. That player's offside. You could play through air. Brilliant drive. He's forthcoming, so they'll have a couple touches. They move the ball. They'll have one more. They need to draw the defence out. England can feel a little bit hard done by, and I am starting to get a little bit more strict on some of the teams. But some of the South African defenders just not advancing on the line, and you can't help but feel if England start pulling out of those touches and highlighting it to the ref, they will get more penalties.
It's something you've got to be kind of thinking about as a team and as someone that is kind of dominating the ball, and the England team will know who their playmakers are, in that you do have to watch the other team getting off the line. And if you need to take a step back and just reassess, you can do.
Yeah, definitely, and it's something I would really look for in terms of engaging the line, and then once they drop, you then pull back out and just say, by the way, sir, look at where they are, look at where I am, and then you can roll back into your strike play. And we do say we don't want people calling stuff for the ref, but sometimes you've got to give them that little helping hand just to highlight some of the small infringements that happen on the field.
Yeah, you see it all the time with some of the best players. Just give a little point, maybe not even a word, just a point at the player dropping backwards.
I won't name names, but my favourite one is there's a certain player who will be screaming the touch count for the refs, and even if the refs have got it correct, on 5th touch will scream that's 6, and then if they get another roll ball, will scream that's 7, sir, until the refs start to really think about the touch count. And it is a fine line to walk. You can get away with some, as England look to drive up the middle. getting fresh legs on in the field. Just periodically ensuring that they get the 1s and 2s on. Jessica Wright. Fin the ball off. Open side quickie. Comes to nothing. Jessica Wright. Feeding it back in. Hammer. Dives for the line, and that looks good. Lovely play from England. Creating the separation in the middle channels and then using the hammer to expose it beautifully. And at the moment, it's one-way traffic.
It's Cara Edwards again, beating them short side. Lovely dive.
Yeah, and Cara Edwards is really running the show right now out on that pitch. Superb skills, and you know, we saw the South African team just a delay in commentary as the helicopter's whirring above us, and calls are made from there. And there's just a brief break in play. Just seems like confusion. Obviously different to contact rugby. If someone's down on the field hurt, the clock doesn't stop. We're on a very strict schedule. As the helicopter lands, we hope whoever that's for is okay. Touches one of something we'd ever hope on anyone. So we're hoping that individual is okay. I'm sure they'll be getting the attention they deserve. As we wait for play to get back underway on this live pitch. The South African player just jogs off. To applause from the supporters. If there's something Touch is good at, it's sportsmanship. And the action's back underway. And South Africa, South Africa think they go all the way round. Unfortunately not. People getting the telling off over the tannoy. We take player welfare very seriously. As England roll through their transition now.
Yeah, again, England are flying up the field every time they want to. They've got all the field position this game. The 5-0 scoreline almost flatters South Africa.
Yeah, I completely agree. England have been dominant from the get-go. They look to go down the short side again. Hansen. Oh, Hans was nearly enough to get into the corner. Just doesn't quite complete. South Africa driving up the sub-box now. Trying to find some success. But the England press is absolutely relentless, sending up 1s and 2s. Always pushing South Africa back and limiting the space, and it is just too dominant at the moment. South Africa struggling to find any get-go. They've not got any touches to play with, and I'm not sure they're aware of that. And that's another midfield turnover for England. Big contact. We love physical touch. Jessica Wright. Cara Edwards. Back to Jessica Wright. Jessica Wright, quickie. Cara Edwards picks up. That'll be 6 more. Oh, it's given touch first. So it'll be turnover ball for South Africa. And on occasion, South Africa has shown that they can defend England fairly consistently.
They have stayed predominantly tight for most of the game. The South African defence, given how much pressure they've been under, the South African defence has withstanded a lot.
And if you're the South African coach now, you could take some pride in some of the defensive performances. Jessica Wright looks for the link punish. It's a race to the line. She's dumping from too far out. Well, let's see if they run it again. They're trying to get on there. They do. Cara Edwards, fire up. Good hands. One more will go. It does go, but the covering touch is very good. Pace of that South African winger just to get across and ensure that there's no option in the corner.
It's again good defence by South Africa chasing out there.
They look for the long. Long ball goes, catch and pass. Referees are happy. supporters at the end there are happy. But England take the lead back out to 6, and
I'll get in there bigging up my sister now on the wing, Maisie Pollard. Lovely take, but I mean, in fairness, the plaudits has to go to Cara Edwards again. She's been awesome. What a ball there.
Yeah,
good take and down quickly.
Superb ball and good catch and ground. Got to be bigging up the siblings as and when we can. And that's a better midfield strike there from South Africa. Just engaging the two middles. Not really seen that as of yet. South Africa just running as individuals at the moment. Oh, and the England player goes for the intercept and the ball goes to ground, so that will be a repeat set of 6. And it just gives South Africa another opportunity. And now in this situation, if you're England, are you more focused on getting more scores or keeping that South African score to 0?
I think as a player, I'd be focusing on keeping that South Africa team to 0. I think they've been so clinical all game, England, that to let them now would be disappointing. They've shown they can score, but the defence is all the time. You can't let up on it. And you'd be disappointed if you let 2 in now, you'd feel like you'd put in 30 minutes of effort for 10 minutes of kind of losing your head.
A brilliant feat there from Tilly Palmer-Denning to create the separation. Generated loads of momentum forward, and in this set, England have succeeded in keeping South Africa out, and they're trying to extend the lead. And they draw the penalty, so they'll get a set of 6. Got a feeling we'll see more of those 32 longs that have been so successful. Short comes first, early release. Oh, big contact on the line. Just both players losing footing at the wrong time, and South African player looks in a lot of discomfort. We're hoping that's nothing too serious, just a case of being winded. And South Africa very smartly have decided to sub whilst there's a break in play. Get the fresh legs on in defence.
It's very, very heads up from the South Africa players there.
Yeah, it's little things like that that you've got to take advantage of. I think one of my favourite ones in NCS was one of the opposition players was being force subbed, and whilst they were being force subbed, everyone else subbed at the same time, and you just had 11 players sprint off the pitch, and a fresh 11 comes straight back on. And by the time referee had turned around, there was a brand new set of personnel on the field. You've got to take those opportunities when you can. England recycling the play, look to give the ball out to the wing. They do. Ball just goes to ground, and maybe guilty of overplaying a little bit there.
They'll be disappointed to do that on touch. Was that touch 1 or touch 2? Yeah. So early in the set. When they have been striking the line and looking dangerous, they'll be disappointed.
Yeah, it's those instances, and I talk a lot about it, and it is one of my bugbears when you get a fresh set of 6 and someone throws long or does something risky on touches 1 and 2. I always sort of say if the space is there on touch 1, it's going to be there on touch 5 as well. As long as you're conditioning in the right areas, you will still find that success. And England were gifted with another possession.
Yeah, it is something coaches will say all the time when you throw away the ball so early, especially when you put so much effort in, and these girls clearly have so much effort in a full game plan. Lovely dive. Yeah,
scores good. Jessica Wright checking off in the midfield, creates a separation. South African defence retreat. And it's all too easy to go over. That's Madeline Miles Kingston getting over. Superb dive. Superb dive.
This game has just been relentless from England from start to finish, and they're really starting to let it show on the scoreline now.
Yeah, from 1-0 for the vast majority of the first half, they've really begun to turn the screw. 7-0 is a very convincing scoreline. As long as they can keep that 0, they'll be very happy. And South Africa desperate to get a score on the board, because they have done some very good work. Just in the final moments, the composure's just not quite been there, and just not been quite organised.
England have consistently taken away the 7, it has to be said, in defence. South Africa are struggling to even run strike plays. They can't dive at the line to even threaten.
Yeah, it's very impressive defensively from England. As South Africa look to go through a gap, and they've found the pass to the wing. That will stick. And the one time that England let their foot off the gas, South Africa go around the side and make them pay. It just shows how clinical South Africa can be when given an opportunity. And the one opportunity they've had, they've capitalised.
Yeah, I don't think you can give the scooper that much time there.
No.
They've not shown that they've got amazing hands to South Africa. I think you've got to make them pass the ball sooner rather than later. But
yeah,
it's a brilliant decision from the South African player to pick up and go.
Yeah, it seems to be a case in England's perspective of just sitting off slightly too much, and I mean they go right back up the other end and equalise that score that just went in for South Africa. And it's almost like they got very frustrated that they let something in. They go down the other end and right that wrong.
That's the exact response. If you're Andy Pennisar, the coach of this England team, that's exactly how you want the girls to respond.
Yeah, it's number 5, B. Graham, getting over for the score, and very well worked, brilliant response. And they'll look to force an early turnover and go back down the other end and increase the lead once more. South Africa now, just moving the ball in the midfield. Very static, bit too far out, not in the red zone. Something we've said about South Africa consistently is they're just trying to dump and scoot from too far out. Switch is on, long ball goes, and sideline ref isn't happy with something. Touch and pass.
So unlucky. They are looking better now, South Africa. They're starting to find the ball to the wingers. They're starting to set up the plays. Maybe England are just starting to take the foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a shame it's taken 35 minutes for South Africa to find their feet in the game, because once they have, they've shown that they can threaten the England line. But England, by and large, for this game have just been too good, too clinical, too organised. They're really leaving South Africa with nothing. And Cara Edwards, she's someone who can create something from nothing. Try to put the big step on. Doesn't quite come. No, look at England straight back up in the face, putting the pressure on. But South Africa work it really well down the box, and that's first touch on halfway. There's no half.
That's just where, as a coach, you're gutted. You've made so many yards, just 1 and 2. There's just no one there to capitalise and keep your momentum forward. And yet again, they're static.
England now driving. 2 minutes to go. They'll want to finish with a nice try, just to put the icing on the cake in what has been a very impressive performance. Striking opportunity. The check off back inside. This is 5th. Scoop. Ball goes. Oh, maybe needed to go one more. But that's 6th touch and turnover, and South Africa are able to defend. And now South Africa will want to go full length here. Finish on a high. But the English defence is relentless in its pressure. Oh, good feet. Big contact. We love some physical touch.
Yeah, it's these 3rd, 4th, 5 touches for South Africa where they're just not transitioning off. They're getting off the pitch very well now, but they're just not finding the yards and the setup.
Yeah. I think it's more a case of the ball's on the floor for too long, so that by the time the half is there, the defence is 7 metres back and set, ready to go forward. So, you know, for all the good work South Africa have done, there are some small tweaks that can be made to their game to help them find more success. There's Jessica Wright on the ball, feeds the wrapper. Oh, hands could and should have gone. Option was on. Yeah, that was a 6th touch turnover, 30 seconds remain, and for the South African perspective, you know, probably will watch back this game. You will be disappointed with the scoreline, but a few small tweaks here and there, and you're fixing the problems that have hurt you in this game.
Oh yeah, I think if you're a coach, you watch this game and you go, actually, a few tweaks in a training session, and actually they would have challenged much more. And it's here where there's no half. I think when it's happened all game, as a coach, you've got to be asking what can we do differently just to change it.
Yeah, definitely. South Africa try and play some jouet rugby to try and go around the outside. They might do. The ball is still live. I think touch has been made, and that is all she wrote. England finished the winners 8-1. Superb result, superb performance, and just too direct, too positive. South Africa in the end just couldn't quite live with them. Amazing, and we've got amazing. So we were just talking about the intensity from England. Half time result wasn't as convincing as it probably could be. Left some scores out there. What was the feedback from Andy?
Andy's feedback was mostly defensive work, and for the middles to call early their separation, so that then everyone else can get in their gaps and cover their area and have less overlaps in line defence, and driving straight up the pitch. So we just keep hitting and hitting, even in subbing, because they're quite tempted usually to go laterally instead of straight forwards. Yeah,
100%, and we saw the change in intensity indeed, because in that second half I think you starved South Africa at any sort of real possession. They didn't have many attempts at the line, although did finish with a quite positive score in the end. We saw you change from attacking short side to then running some 32 longs. Is that something that Andy was like, look, we've conditioned the short side now we need to work open side?
I think it's based upon what the girls see, because obviously we've got both options in the tank, and I think they saw that conditioning one way was working, and then they would get shut off on that way, so then they'd have to switch and go open side, and chuck along. Yeah,
definitely. And just before we let you get off to the team, stand-up performers Cara Edwards, as per usual, I suppose.
Yeah.
How hard is it to defend someone like that, and then how valuable is it to have someone like that on your team?
It's so valuable to have someone like that on the team. She's so switched on, she's such a great player, and that rubs off on the rest of the team. So she's able to share her expertise, and defending someone like that, I'm so glad I'm not playing against her. She's one of those people that you're glad you're on the same side as. So yeah, she's a great
100%, and you know, what a convincing result, 8-1. I was saying probably trying to keep that South African side to 0, but
yeah.
You know, they're good value for the score in the end. I think they're trying to drag one more on. Yeah, come on, we've got another set of headphones. Amazing. And would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Abby Pritchard.
Amazing. What did you make of the performance out there?
I thought it was good, considering the weather conditions. It wasn't one of our best games, but they did put up a good fight, to be fair. We did have a chat at half-time, talked through everything. We did do it out on the pitch and came away with a good score, so happy with it. And we've got stuff to work on later for France, so we'll just see how that goes. Yeah,
I think France will be a different test in itself, but we saw in the second half the intensity of turnover was just, you know, night and day for the first half, really forcing the turnover, trying to force as many errors from South Africa as possible. That defensive, we've seen some teams use the piston defence, getting people flying up out the line, but it seems like you girls just want to send 6 up at a time and swarm the ball carrier.
Yeah, we do try to talk through defence, but I think just everyone's just so manic and everyone just goes up and everything like that. But yeah, we will walk through our defence and sort that out for the next game. But
definitely. And have you shown everything you've got? Have you got more plays in the playbook?
Yeah, we do, but we're keeping that a secret for the final day tomorrow. I can't let that out yet.
I don't blame you. Right, I'll let you get off. I need some food as well, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Cheers. And yeah, we've got a slight 10-minute break before the next game. Just trying to get it up. Oh yeah, there is a camera. Hi, camera. Wales and Scotland, mixed 18s. That'll be a really huge game. Oh, sorry, Scotland, France. First time we'll see Scotland on the live stream, which is something to look forward to. And yeah, we will be back with you guys soon.